Hello everyone, today I am bringing you a video talking about my favorite trilogies. So in YA, I'd say the majority of the books, not all of them, are mainly trilogies, which is awesome, but there's a lot, to choose from. So I decided to do a video to tell you my favorite ones. And I think I might do, favorite series, and so on and so forth. So a couple things before I get into my list. These trilogies I mentioned are finished. They are done, finito, all done. So there are some trilogies still going on that I love, but they're maybe in the first or second book, so I don't want to put that on the list till I know that it's done. Second of all, I only picked 10. I know I've read more than 10 trilogies, but these are just some of my favorite ones. Like I said, I've read more than 10. There's a lot to choose from. There's just a plethora of trilogies going around. And I think that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about before I get into trilogies. So yeah, like I said, they're finished. They're already all done, and I've read more than these, but I just wanted to pick 10 of my favorite, and I'm explaining to you why I like them, and hopefully if you haven't heard of any of these, try to read them yourself and see what you think of it. So let's get into it. The first couple of trilogies I'm going to mention are going to be quite obvious. A lot of you guys have probably read them, like a good majority, but they're still some of my favorite. I thought I'd mention them. The first trilogy, of course, is going to be The Hunger Games. Hunger Games, Fire, and Mockingjay. So I love this trilogy. I was not 100% on the bandwagon before it first came out because the synopsis of Hunger Games kind of scared me. I'm like, kids killing each other? I'm gonna pass. But then eventually I gave into it, and I'm so glad I did. This is an amazing book. It kept me up to 4 a.m. reading it because I had to finish it that night, and it scared me reading it because it's an intense book. Out of the trilogy, I would say my favorite would have to be Catching Fire because it is just so amazing, as well as the movie. Best movie, best book, awesome. If you haven't read this trilogy, you gotta read it. This trilogy is the Divergent trilogy by Veronica Ross. So Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant. So I love Divergent. Divergent is one of my favorite books of all time. But as I get farther away, like the more time has gone since I've read it, I feel like my love has lessened for it. I think I will always love Divergent. It's such an amazing book. I did not really enjoy the movie, and so that kind of lessened my love for it itself. But as more as I go on, like as time goes on, I read different books. I look at my past books and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that anymore. And this is with this trilogy. I thought Insurgent was okay. I think it could have been better. And Allegiant, it broke my heart, and I think there was a lot of errors with it. I think there was a lot of things I didn't like about it, but I don't know. It will still always be one of my favorite trilogies because I have such memories of enjoying it when it first came out and reading it. It was awesome and I loved it, but I feel like this trilogy has its flaws, as many books do, because that's life. But I feel like, I don't know, these two books were just, as time goes on, I'm just kind of not liking them as much, but I'll always love Divergent. It will always have a special place in my heart, as well as 4. 4 will have a place in my heart forever. The next trilogy is kind of a lesser known trilogy, and I put it on my underrated books video a while back, and I just still think it's underrated. I don't think a lot of people have read it, but they should because it's so good, and that is the Unearthly Trilogy by Cynthia Han, and the covers alone, gotta read it. First we have Unearthly, then we have Hallowed, then we have Boundless. These books just keep getting better. I will say my favorite out of the series is definitely the last one, Boundless. It is so good. It's about an angel, and she, like, every angel has like this mission or something when they're 16, and she is Clara, I think that's her name, I forget, but she has a certain mission and she has to save this boy, and it just gets amazing. And there is a love triangle, but it's not as horrible as some love triangles, but it is such an amazing trilogy, and I wish more people have read it because it's just awesome. I felt like each book got consistently better, which is definitely what you want in a trilogy, so loved it. The next trilogy should come as no surprise. It's definitely the Infernal Devices trilogy. Forgive me, it's in a box set. So we have Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. Like I said, I think a great trilogy is when you read the first book, you're like, it's amazing. You read the second book, oh my gosh, amazing. When you read the third book, you're like, it's the best thing ever. So I think that's what really makes a good trilogy, and this is exactly, again, what this trilogy does. Clockwork Angel was good. I wouldn't say I was like, oh my gosh, it was really good. And then I read Clockwork Prince, and I was like, hold up, this is really good. And then I read Clockwork Princess, and my mind was like blown. It was an amazing finale of a book, and I loved it so much. Cassandra Clare just has this way of giving you everything you want, but breaking you down at the beginning, but then making you happy at the end. I don't know, but it's such a good trilogy. I haven't read it. It takes place in the 1800s and it's amazing and you gotta read it. It's so good. The next two trilogies are actually contemporary trilogies, which you don't get too much of. Usually contemporaries are standalones, or sometimes they'll be a duology, but usually they're standalones. Very rare where you see a trilogy. But this one it's kind of a trilogy, but it's also, you can read all of these individual without having read any of the other books in the series, or you can read them together because they're kind of interlinking. And on Goodreads it says 1, 2, and 3. So that's why I'm like, it's a trilogy, right? Right? I hope you agree that it is. And that is the Anna and the French Kiss trilogy by Stephanie Perkins. Like I said, any of these books you can read by itself. It will not hurt you at all. You don't have to read them. They're just kind of interweaving characters throughout each story. So first up we have Anna and the French Kiss. Then we have Lola and the Boy Next Door. So in Lola you'll see Anna again. Does that make sense? You know? But it's not going to make or break you if you don't read Anna. And the next one we have Isla. So in Isla, I think we see both characters, I don't remember, from these two previous novels. So it is a trilogy, but it's a trilogy where if you don't read every book in the trilogy, it's not going to hurt you. But it's an amazing, light, fluffy one. You want Stephanie Perkins, she's the queen of writing lovey-dovey, mushy-gushy stuff, all that fun, beautiful stuff you want. And it's just a great trilogy. Out of these, I would say my favorite will probably have to be Anna and the French Kiss. I like that one the most. It's just a really classic, lovey-dovey story. The next contemporary trilogy is the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. Forgive me, I do not own these anymore. But it's a great, trilogy. I think it's one of the only true trilogies in contemporary. Now, I could be wrong, but that's just, I don't know, it's what I think. But it is a great trilogy. It follows a girl, and it's kind of falling for these two brothers, and of course, it's got a love triangle. But this trilogy is best read in the summertime, obviously because the Summer I Turned Pretty, but it each takes place through each different summer, I want to say, and it is such a sweet, bittersweet, love triangle-y type of book, and it's just awesome, and I love the boys in it, and it's a really good trilogy. Next up is the Maze Runner trilogy by James Dash. So we have the Maze Runner, the Scorched Trials, and the Death Cure. So this one is kind of an odd trilogy, whereas the first two books I thought were amazing. I love the Maze Runner and the adventure that it is. It's an awesome adventure book, especially, you know, it's from a guy's point of view, but you don't get too much in YA, which is, again, awesome. And the second book, The Scorched Trials, I really enjoyed. I didn't like it as much as the Maze Runner, but I still thought it was a great sequel. Now, the third book, no, I really don't like this book. I really feel like this trilogy, it's still one of my favorites, but when I think about the Maze Runner, I think about the Death Cure and how much I didn't enjoy it. I felt like when I finished it, I had more questions. I feel like things weren't resolved, and I don't know. So this series is a great series, but it is very confusing with the different, you know, evil or not evil, all that kind of stuff. But if you're looking for a great adventure trilogy with a guy's point of view, definitely check it out. But I mean, the Death Cure, no. Next up, we have the Legend trilogy by Marie Lu. Again, another trilogy, I think, that gets better with each book. So Legend is a dystopian book all about, and it has 2 points of view from Day and June, boy and girl. So you get 2 points of view there, and it's just an awesome adventure thrown with a little bit of romance in it, but it was still very good. So Legend, amazing. The second book, amazing. And Champion, amazing as well. I will say the ending was kind of open-ended. I don't know if that's spoiling anything. I mean, not really, but I didn't hate the ending, but I wish it would have been a little bit different. But overall, I thought the ending of the trilogy was very good. But I've read a lot of trilogies where I just don't like the ending, and this one was an okay ending. It didn't make me upset or anything. It's like a bittersweet ending to me. But overall, this is just a great adventure, dystopian, romance trilogy that will you'll fall in love with. Marie Lu is great, and no, I have not read her new series yet. I know, I'm horrible. The next trilogy is kind of a controversial one. A lot of people like this series, a lot of people like this trilogy, a lot of people don't. I fall in the like it, used to love it category, if that makes sense. So like I said, sometimes when you read books, time goes on more, like, 2, 3 years. You look back on your books you've read and you're like, I don't know if I love that one as much as I thought I did. You just think more about the book, and you think that your feelings on it have changed, because that happens sometimes, even with movies. You can watch a movie you love for 5 years, and maybe on that 7th year, you're like, I don't know. That happens sometimes. But the trilogy I'm talking about, I know you're anticipating, is the Delirium trilogy by Lauren Oliver. Now, I really love the Delirium trilogy, but as the time goes on, I feel like I like it now. I don't love it as much as I used to, but I still really enjoy it because it was one of my favorite trilogies way back in the day when I first started BookTube. I thought it was just amazing. So the first book is Delirium. Then the second book is Pandemonium, and then the last book is Requiem. So Delirium is a great starter book. I wouldn't say it's like amazing. It does have its flaws, as a lot of books does, but I thought its follow-up, Pandemonium, was amazing. This is my favorite book in the trilogy. I noticed a lot of my favorite books in trilogies are the second ones, but sometimes the second book can make and break you, because I've read a lot of trilogies where the second book just was really like, no. But this one I thought was amazing, amazing second book in a trilogy. And the third book this is why I think my love has lessened a lot for this trilogy, because the ending, I did not enjoy the ending. It left on a cliffhanger, a huge cliffhanger, and I just don't feel like things were resolved. I wasn't happy with where it was going. The ending really ruined this trilogy for me. And I will always love this trilogy, but Requiem, man, I don't know what you did. I don't know. So, like I said, I always will love this trilogy, but as time goes on, I think more and more about Requiem and how much it made me kind of upset with that ending. No. The last trilogy I want to talk about is another one that a lot of people either love or hate, and I still love this trilogy as much as I did when I read it because I think it's just awesome. And that is the Across the Universe trilogy by Beth Revis, and of course we have Across the Universe. Then we have, what is this called? Then we have A Million Suns, and then we have Shades of Earth. No, I'm not going to talk about this cover change because I've talked about it so many times. You can clearly see the horribleness that it is, but let's just talk about the books. The book's amazing. This is all about sci-fi and space, which is my really first sci-fi adventure into YA or into sci-fi at all, and I really loved it. I thought it was great. Again, this trilogy just got better with each book. So Across the Universe was amazing. A Million Suns was amazing. I thought it wrapped up perfectly in Shades of Earth. I was happy with it. I thought it was great. I thought it had a lot of sci-fi in it with some love. I just really love this trilogy, and I always will because I think it's great. So that was my favorite trilogy books. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you guys want to see future videos like this of like my favorite series that are done or my favorite 4-book, are those called like quartets? I don't know what those are called. I'm so sorry, but if you want to see those, please let me know because I'm trying to make lists slowly and surely, but if you want to see it, please let me know. Leave a comment, please. Favorite trilogies that I have not mentioned or maybe I just even haven't heard of, please leave them down below as well. I'm always looking for new trilogies because, you know, us book lovers just gotta feed the need of wanting books constantly, wanting and needing all of the amazing books. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Take your time with me, and you did it well. Let's take our time to